out to the source of our breath. We cry out because the one that made hearing does hear. The one who formed the eye does see. We cry out to disturb and to interrupt the uneasy silence of those who are asleep in order to rouse them from their beds with the cry, awake, awake, put on strength, O Zion. We cry out to the source of our breath. Church, we, just like George Floyd, just like so many black people being abused and dehumanized on the streets of our cities, have lost our breath, and the collective prophetic voice of the church has seemingly caught laryngitis. We're in the middle of a civil rights movement that for the first time in the history of black America, the church is not at the forefront. The moral voice of black America is missing from the dialogue. The church has lost its breath and needs to be resuscitated. Is burning from the East Coast to the West Coast, that he would get up and try to unite people, try to bring people together, try to condemn the social injustice that brought us to this point. But no, he wants to thugify black folk. When white folk came to Michigan, armed to the teeth, carrying AR-15 rifles, dressed in combat gear, come on somebody, carrying nooses and waving racist Confederate flags, he called them very good people and demanded that the governor of Michigan cut a deal with them and talk to them. But when black folk came to protest the unjust murder of black people, he called us thugs. Yeah, thugification, demonization, and criminalization are all attempts at ultimately dehumanizing us. Because if we can prove that someone is less than human, then we can justify killing them. I can get killed on the street for no reason, shot in the park for playing with a toy, choked to death just because, murdered for being black in a white neighborhood, shot in my car while rushing home to get medicine for my daughter, killed in the stairway for trying to catch an elevator, gunned down in Walmart for holding a toy, all for no price, for no ransom, for no reward, just because I've been labeled as less than human. Oh my God, I'm black, I'm other, I'm not like them. My music is too loud, so I should get killed. My hair is too kinky, so I should get killed. My hair's too nappy, too dreaded. My pants are too saggy. My shoes aren't tied. I'm wearing a hoodie. I walk too fast. I look intimidating. I'm a threat, a menace, a societal scourge, a community casualty, a neighborhood nuisance. I can't win. I can't get a job. I can't get a raise. I can't get a promotion. I can't find no respect. I can't get the benefit of the doubt. I can't make ends meet. I can't breathe. What do I do when I can't breathe? responsibility to go back to Lodabar. Your work's not done just because you made it to the palace. Bless the name of the Lord. But you've got a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you lost. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. That's the name of the Lord. Somebody got to tell themselves it's all right if you got it now. Just hold
90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 3 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. on the first Monday morning in 2021. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Good morning. I see my daughter streaming from Chicago. And to all of our listening audience here in the Pioneer Valley that are under the 4,000 watts, broadcasting here in Southern New England, those who are in Massachusetts, New York, Vermont, Connecticut, everywhere that we may reach. Good morning to you. And also good morning to our international audience via the wonder of the World Wide Web. Everyone who is listening and watching as we stream on our various social media platforms. Do me a favor, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from, where you're watching from. Always love to know where our audience is watching from. Listen, it's an important 2 days happening in the next 2 days. So if you didn't know, you must have been sleeping under a rock somewhere. And so we're going to try to wake you up a little bit. On tomorrow is an important election in Georgia. All right. The results of tomorrow's election will determine control of the United States Senate. Whether Mitch McConnell gets to keep putting racist judges in, or in this case, since Biden will be the president, holding up judge appointments. So you have to understand the power of the Senate. What he did when Barack Obama was in office, and he was the majority leader in the Senate, he held up so many Obama appointments that it left many judgeships vacant on the federal level. So when Donald Trump got in office, immediately there were over 100 judgeships for him to fill that had been held up by Mitch McConnell during the Obama years. So during his 4 years, he has appointed over 200 judges. They don't look like you and me. I know I may have some folks that are white in my listening audience, but for those of us that are African American and Latino and Asian and Native American, they don't look like us. Okay. They are Republican, they are conservative, they are white, they are male, they are anti-civil rights. 220 judges appointed, and over 100 of them were left over from the Obama administration that the Senate blocked Obama from filling. This is what you have to understand, how important it is, not just for the presidency, but for the houses of Congress as well. And so the election tomorrow in Georgia will determine who has control of the Senate, which is important. And then on the 6th, on Wednesday, is the day that the Senate confirms the vote of the Electoral College. Is mainly ceremonial. But there are a number of Republican senators led by Ted Cruz that plan on trying to block the certification of the Electoral College to try to force Trump back into office. It's crazy. What they want to do is disenfranchise black voters in predominantly black counties, black cities, in 4 swing states to give Trump the election. They want to hand it to him. Now, I'm going to play a tape a little later of Trump talking to the Secretary of State of Georgia, basically trying to demand that the Secretary of State find him 11,780 votes to flip the Georgia election. He admits in the tape that all of this stuff about shredding ballots and changing machines is all rumor. He says, well, that's what the rumor is. There's no hardcore empirical evidence of any of this so-called voter fraud. Figments of their imagination. And so on the 6th, they're having a big Klan rally in D.C. You know, they're upset with me now because I said on Twitter that it's going to be a rally of racists, white supremacists, skinheads, pedophiles, and all kinds of assorted other trash human beings that will be going down to D.C. And I meant what I said, because anyone who endorses, supports, defends the type of behavior that we've seen over the last 4 years is not a good human being. It's not a Christian human being, as many of them like to call themselves. So that's what's happening over the next 2 days. So today I'm going to talk about this attempt to take us back to Jim Crow, to try to take us back to disenfranchising black voters. 413-337-1867, 413-337-1867. We'll open up the phone lines after a short break. Once again, rep your city, rep your town. I see you, Alton Davis. Good morning. I see you, Michael Moore. Good morning. I see you, Sheldon Barnes. I see you, cousin Lisa. Good morning, KP. Good morning, everybody on every platform. Listen, tell a friend, tell somebody. Bishop is on the air. Do me a favor, share this, share it in your group, share it on your page, share it with a friend. Let's get into this conversation, because this is important. If they can successfully disenfranchise black voters now, it's downhill. I don't think they're going to be successful, but the fact that they are trying tells you there's a climate in America to try to once again set us aside as second-class citizens. And that's critical that we understand that. I'm going to play some new music from T. Swan. My son, you need to check it out wherever they stream music. This one is called Roots. Stay with me. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
No matter how I grow, I'll never never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to my seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth. No matter how I grow, I'll never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to my seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth. Even when I get my change up, I'll never change up. Never forget where I came from or my day one. I am destined for greatness, I manifested. That's on my ancestors who came from a land of 3 sand deserts in the jungle. I'll forever be humble, but never let no one punk you. They tried to cover up our roots and throw dirt on us, throw work on us, hurt on us, but we only got stronger. No matter how I grow, I'll never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to my seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth. No matter how I grow, I'll never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth.
Moving cash in my kente, rhythm in my bones with the Steve, that's my sensei. Frankie recent vibes, those my day one essays. Come for one of them and you done al dente. Still Africana, straight from Ghana, what you think? Shanty in my blood, so you know I'm murder ink. Play by jazz rules, cause the devil here creeping. Rooted in the water, so we fruitful every season, yeah. Kill him dead, every song that's the remedy. The recipe to we get a piece, so we rest in peace. Never be ashamed for the things you don't possess. Only fear is lying, somewhere dying with regret, yeah, yeah. Play the game with respect, did it for the love with the best, oh yeah, yeah. Niggas out here flexing for a check, while the real ones out here playing chess.
No matter how I grow, I'll never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to my seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth. No matter how I grow, I'll never forget my roots. You gotta grow the fruit, that's how you get the juice. That's word to my seed, watch what I produce. I just wanna succeed, pass it down to my youth.
All right, now y'all got to go pick that up. Everywhere music is streamed, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Google Play, wherever you get your music, look up T Swan, stream it. All right, support a young brother, local brother, artist doing this thing, and support all our local artists. Okay, y'all. Don't talk all this pro-black stuff, and then when our own folk are doing stuff, y'all don't do nothing to support them. Okay? All right. Let me get the number up here. Get this number up here. That y'all can chime in on the program. There we go. All right. 413-337-1867. So they're continuing, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies, to try to reverse Joe Biden's victory. And Trump and his allies, make no mistake about it. Make no mistake. And people keep saying to me, well, you know, Bishop, there's more than just black people who live in those counties, those cities. I get that. I understand that. And I've always prefaced it by saying they are predominantly black cities. Come on, y'all. Stop playing with me. Detroit is 80% black. They're not targeting Detroit because of the 20% of non-black people that live there and voted. We know exactly why they're targeting Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. Come on, we know why they're targeted, because they're chocolate cities. They are cities of predominantly black people. And so he and his allies and these rogue Republicans, Ted Cruz et al., are targeting heavily black cities, painting them as corrupt and trying to throw out their votes, you know, because it's only cities that are predominantly black that are corrupt. right? In Pennsylvania, Trump and Republicans loyal to him sought to overturn his defeat by making false claims about this widespread voter fraud in Philly. In Georgia, they sought to reverse his laws, leveling the same accusations against Atlanta. In Michigan, they've zeroed in on Detroit, whose election system, 46-1, has falsely portrayed as so flawed that the entire vote should be thrown out. All of Detroit needs to be thrown out. Because, of course, Detroit is the blackest out of all four of those cities. It's 80% black. Let's just get rid of all of Detroit. All right? And the same thing in Wisconsin with targeting Milwaukee. And it's lost on nobody that in those cities, what they have in common are black voters. There is no ambiguity in the way this son of a Klansman and his allies are falsely depicting them as bastions of corruption. Democrat-led cities, corrupt cities. You know, that's code word for black. Period. That's what that is. It's code word for black. The whole fraud and all of that, you know, they've been used through the years. This is an old playbook. You guys have to understand this. It's an old playbook that's used in contemporary times. We've been down this road before. We've seen this. We've heard this song sung before. This is a rerun. This is Gilligan's Island, ladies and gentlemen. This is nothing new. This is straight out of the white supremacist handbook. Okay? And this pyromaniacal campaign to somehow reverse the election, it rests on the wholesale disenfranchisement of thousands and thousands of black voters living in black cities. That's what this is. And let's not get it twisted. Now, noticeably absent from the effort to reverse this so-called corrupt election, the most corrupt election ever, according to Trump and his ilk. I mean, absent from this, if this is so corrupt, has been any focus on any predominantly white suburban areas. Wherever Trump won, wherever he performed better, there was no corruption. Only where he lost bigly was there corruption. Think about it. No corruption at all anywhere he won. But everywhere he lost, particularly in the swing states, there was corruption. Now, the irony of these Republican senators jumping on the bandwagon, trying to make the case for widespread voter corruption across the nation, is they were elected on the same ballots. So my thing is this: if you're going to throw out the results of the presidential election because the ballots were corrupt, let's just throw out the results of all the elections if it was so corrupt, which means all of you Republicans who got elected or re-elected on the same ballot that Trump lost, let's reverse your victory too. Because you can't say it was corrupt just for Trump. So somebody on the ballot, I mean, just think about this for one moment. You literally have Republican legislatures, Republican governors, Republican secretaries of states that are certifying these states' elections and telling Trump there was no voter fraud. He keeps saying Democrats stole the election, but it's Republicans that are telling them. In Georgia, which he keeps focusing on, it's a Republican governor and a Republican secretary of state telling him ain't no voter fraud. But somehow the Democrats stole the election. These Republicans in charge of Georgia just let the Democrats steal the election. The other thing is, why the hell would Democrats, think about it just for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm just playing. I know there's no S on gentlemen, but just think about it for a moment. Why would you steal the presidential election and not make sure you stole control of both houses of Congress at the same time? We wouldn't be out in Georgia in droves trying to make sure people got out to vote to try to get control of the Senate if there was an ability to just steal the election. Why wouldn't Democrats have stolen the Senate too? Think about it now. Think about what kind of sense this all makes. You know, they're going to steal this election, but then they just going to forget to steal. They're going to forget to steal control of the Senate. Come on, man. Come on. Y'all know you ain't making no sense. They would have overwhelmingly took the House. I mean, they won back the House, but Republicans gained seats. Republicans would not have gained seats if they were able to steal the election. They would have overwhelmingly took the House and overwhelmingly took the Senate. Bottom line. So, you know, if you're going to throw out the results of the presidential election, let's throw out the victories of every Republican that won on November 3rd. That's only fair, right? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say the election was overwhelmingly crooked. You can't say there was this widespread voter fraud across the entire nation and then turn around and say, oh, but that's just the presidential side. My election was all on the up and up. You know, there was nothing corrupt about me getting elected. There was only something corrupt about Biden getting elected. I know I was elected on the same ticket that Biden got elected on, but my election was legit. Only Biden's was corrupt. Come on. Let's come on, man. Why y'all playing like that? It don't make no sense. It makes no sense at all. But then again, you know, let's just think about it. Whoever accused Republican senators of making any sense. I know I haven't, and I'm sure you haven't either. But that's just how silly this thing has gotten. Now, to make matters worse, Louis Gohmert, a sitting United States congressman, a former judge, okay, has now encouraged people to go out on the streets and basically go out on the streets and get violent. That if we can't get the results of the election that we want, if we can't get the courts to do what we want, if we can't get the Supreme Court to do our bidding, then basically Louis Gohmert said, and he said this is how bold these folks are. He said this on national television in an interview. He said, we need to take to the streets. We need to take to the streets and get violent. He compared it. He said like Black Lives Matter, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that's a white narrative, but that's what he said. We need to take to the streets. We in other words, we need to forcibly, by violence, make sure Trump gets back in office. This is where these folks are, ladies and gentlemen. This is how crazy these people are. These people are not well. They're not well. And I say to the reason why I put my post up, basically saying that we had all of these crazy people coming to DC was to encourage you all just to stay away. Not that we scared, we ain't punks or nothing like that, but you don't know what these crazy folks are going to do. And that's the bottom line. These people are crazy. They're crazy. They are crazy. And they're going down there and they want attention. They want attention. And so they're going to do all they can to get it because they're not going to get the results that they want. The way the process is set up is if you have someone who objects to the certification of the Electoral College, you have to have a member of the House and a member of the Senate. Looks like they will have that. They get to go and to their separate chambers to debate the issue for an hour. I think it's an hour, or maybe it might be a couple hours or whatever it is. And then they have to vote on whether or not to certify. And they're going to lose in both houses. They're going to lose in both houses. So it's going to be a formality. It's just going to be antics. And then they're going to come back in and they're going to have to certify the election. And it's a wrap. And these folks are going to be upset because Republicans didn't all decide to act like jerks and vote along with them to turn over a legal election back to Donald Trump. And so they're going to act stupid. They're going to engage in some violence. We know that's going to happen because they did it the last time. Remember, they targeted two predominantly black churches when they were in DC the last time. Ripped down their signs, burn their signs and all of that, vandalize the churches. And not one, here's my thing to all of you white evangelical Christians. I didn't hear none of y'all say nothing about the Proud Boys vandalizing black churches. Now, any other time a church is targeted, y'all all talking about this is an attack on religion. This is an attack on Christianity. But yet, somehow, some way, when that attack on Christianity involves a black church, we can't find y'all with a flashlight. I mean, where in the world was Franklin Graham? Where in the world was Robert Jefferson, John Hagee, and Reverend James Robeson, and Paula White. Paula call on the black angels white. Where were all of y'all when the Proud Boys were vandalizing black churches? All of a sudden, you ain't worried about no attacks on religion or no attacks on households of faith when it comes to attacking black churches. That's how you know these white evangelicals are nothing but a bunch of hypocrites. I mean, I'll say it and I say it again, and people keep saying, oh, you can't talk about all of God's people like that. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. White evangelicalism is nothing but white supremacy in drag. That's all it is. The fact that 81% of them supported Trump the first time and over 85% of them supported Trump this time, it tells you what they are. It tells you what their religion is. It's white supremacy in drag. Period. Period. That's what it is. The fact that they can't get their mouth open when it comes to attacks on black churches. And why not? Because if those were evangelical white churches that were being attacked by Black Lives Matter, all of them would have been out saying something. Franklin Graham and all of them, every one of them mayonnaise drippers would have been out condemning it. But somehow, some way, when it comes to attacking a black church, they ain't got nothing to say. They ain't got nothing to say. And we anticipate it's going to be more of the same come Wednesday. It's going to be more of the same. More foolishness, more tomfoolery, all of that stuff is going to happen. I mean, that's where we are in America, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I said lost on nobody. Lost on nobody is the fact that these cities are predominantly black, and they want to throw out their votes wholesale. Wholesale. You know, in other words, you N-words shouldn't have voted the way you voted. That's where we are with that. That's where we are, literally. Y'all should have voted that way. And had you voted for Trump, we wouldn't be trying to throw out your votes. But since y'all N-words didn't know how to vote, it's a wrap. We're gonna go to the courts and everywhere else and try to throw out your votes. And so listen to the code words. Listen to the code words. Listen to the code words. They're not trying to go against any place that's predominantly white. And in a year in which this nation elected its first black vice president, this push to disenfranchise black voters, it represents a newly conspicuous phase of a decades-long effort by the Republican Party to expand their power through the suppression of black voters. Because they know that black voters, for the most part, over the last 60 years, I'd say, have remained loyal to Democrats, while Republicans consistently win the majority of the white vote, male and female. Male and female. Don't get it twisted. Your white friends are voting for Trump. The majority of them vote Republican. That's real. They 55% in this election of white women voted for Trump. 53% 4 years ago voted for Trump. Okay, well over 60% of white men voted for him. So don't get it twisted. in terms of where their priorities are. They're going with whoever the Republican nominee is. That's just what it is. White folks are voting that way, and they know that if the majority of white folks are voting for them, that means if we disenfranchise black voters, then we will just consistently win the White House. All we got to do is make sure enough black people don't vote. And how do we do that? We purge voter rolls. We disenfranchise them through the criminal justice system. We say that if you got a record, you can't vote. We jump through all kinds of hoops to make sure black folks can't vote. And that's what they keep doing over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get it twisted. And that's what this time around, what happened is they weren't able to stop black folks from voting, and they turned the tide of this election. They gave Biden states that Clinton didn't get 4 years ago. And they turned the tide in these swing states so that Trump would not get back in office. Bottom line. So they said, well, since we couldn't stop them from actually going to the polls and voting, we'll just invalidate all their votes. That's where they are now. We'll just don't worry about it. We'll just invalidate them. We'll get the courts to invalidate them. We'll get the Supreme Court to invalidate their votes. Or if we can't get the courts, we can't get the Supreme Court, we'll go in and we'll get the Congress to invalidate their votes. They tried to go to court so the court would give Mike Pence the power to summarily change the election on Wednesday. So they are doing everything, trying to pull out whatever stops that they can pull out to try to give the election to Trump. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Congratulations on getting the president that you want, Joe Biden.
Well, let's be clear. That wasn't the president I wanted.
Okay.
Okay.
Who did you want? Who did you want?
I really, to be honest, there was nobody in the camp of Democrats that I was really all of that enthused about. There were some who had some policy proposals that I thought were good. I thought Marianne Williamson had some policy proposals that I could support, particularly her policy on reparations. I thought even Andrew Yang had some policies that I could support, but I knew neither one of them had the political backing to be the nominee. Joe Biden, I have some serious concerns about his record on segregation, on the crime bill, on a number of things. But the congratulations is not so much that my president got in, the guy I wanted got in. It's really congratulations, the guy you didn't want lost. That's what happened.
All right, fair enough. I know you. I do remember now you saying that you were, we're going to support Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, if she had become the nominee, I would have. Yeah, I mean, I supported her in the primary. I did support her. That's who I voted for in the primary.
So if the Senate tomorrow night, I'm almost hoping the Democrats win the Senate, and I'll tell you why. And yes, I'm white. Yes, I vote Republican. I don't make any secrets about that, and I'm proud of that. That's how my.
Which part are you proud of? Are you proud of being white, or are you proud of being Republican, or both?
I mean, I'm proud of both.
Okay.
I'm proud of both.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Doesn't mean I'm Doesn't mean, I'm sure you're proud of it. You're proud of being a black man.
Hey, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's the way it should be. So if you get the presidency and the Senate, or at least a tie, which will, Kamala Harris will break the tie in the Senate, and you have the House by a slim majority, that means that the agenda, whatever you support, let's just call it the progressive liberal agenda.
It won't be the progressive agenda. It will not be the progressive agenda. That's for sure.
If you get all three, it will. I mean, if
no. It will be the Democrat agenda. It will be the mainline Democrat agenda, not the progressive wing of the Democrats. That's the reason why. If you notice, they have something trending right now that says fraud squad, and the reason that's trending is because the progressives are livid with the Justice Democrats, with the squad and those that are supposed to be on the progressive side, voting to keep Nancy Pelosi in power as the Speaker of the House. So there's a real rift within the Democratic Party where progressives can't stand folks like Pelosi, and that's why they feel betrayed by those Justice Democrats, those progressives that went along to get along in terms of Nancy Pelosi. So it will be a Democrat agenda, agreed, but it won't be a progressive agenda.
There was a time that we considered Nancy Pelosi to be one of those crazy left-wingers. Now we got even crazier left-wingers with the squad. But my point is this.
Why are they crazy?
What's that?
Why are they crazy?
Oh, man. Some of the things that... some of the things that on their agenda, this Green New Deal.
What's wrong with the Green New Deal? What's wrong with Medicare for all?
What's that?
What's wrong with the Green New Deal? What's wrong with Medicare for all? These are like some of their major proposals. What's your problem with those?
Yeah, well, they're really expensive.
There's a whole lot of things that the Republicans put out that's expensive. You realize that the Republicans, who are supposed to be the fiscal hawks, who are talking about less government, et cetera, in each of the last 3 Republican administrations, government actually expanded and didn't shrink.
Don't get me started. I agree 100%. Both parties of government are way, way out of control when it comes to spending. There's no question about that. But I wanted to get to the point where if there is a Democratic, let's just say you're right, and there's a Democratic agenda. Now, I think you're right. It'll be a Democratic agenda if the Republicans take the Senate. That's kind of checks and balances. But the point I'm trying to make is I hope there's no complaining in a couple of years when you get a Democratic agenda and you're still complaining after a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
You're oppressed.
Yes.
You're still oppressed.
Yeah. Wait. Let's pause right there. Don't get it twisted. Nobody said that if Democrats get in power, that black people will no longer be oppressed. No, nobody said that at all, because them being in power does not take away police brutality. It does not get rid of all of the disparities that exist in various American systems, in the criminal justice system, in housing, in employment, in healthcare, etc. It doesn't dismantle that. So it didn't dismantle it when we had a black president in power. Remember now, the Black Lives Matter movement rose up under Obama's watch. With a black man in the White House, we were still getting shot down on the streets. We still had the Trayvon Martins and the Michael Browns and the Tamir Rices and the Sandra Blands and all of that happening when he was. So we're not saying that all of a sudden magically racism disappears and gets erased. That's embedded in the American system, regardless of which party is in power. Now, the one thing I will say is this: we will complain even if the Democrats don't produce an agenda that is beneficial. and are prepared to do that, and are prepared to hold them accountable. I have no this is what folk don't understand. They automatically assume that because I was anti-Trump, that meant I'm pro-Democrat. I'm an independent voter. I've been an independent since I was old enough to vote. So I've never been a Democrat or a Republican. And I have no problem. And I have no.
Have you ever voted Republican?
Have I ever voted Republican? You know what? The only time I ever supported a Republican was the first time Scott Brown ran.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I'm an equal opportunity criticizer. If it goes against what's in the best interest of my community, I got no problem with calling you out, whether you're Democrat or Republican. If you go just you can go check the record at how vociferous I was in calling out Joe Biden during the Democrat primary.
I know. Joe Biden's 78 years old. The guy's been there since 1970. I think he was in Congress 1970. Voted to the Senate in 1972. That guy's been around a long
Well, there's a lot of Republicans been around a long time and need to go.
I'm with you.
I mean, I think that's the problem with. I think that's the problem in government. That's a problem in government. We got a whole lot of people on both sides of the aisle who have been around too long and whose ideas are antiquated, and we need fresh and new blood in their place.
Okay, Mr. Swan, Bishop, you come from a very successful family, and that's great. That's awesome. Do you feel like you're oppressed?
I listen now. See, here's the thing. See, often people look at certain metrics and measures of success: education, money, where you live, your station in life, those types of things. And they say there's no way in the world you could be oppressed with all of that. Now, if I were to tell you how many times, if you and I compared notes, how many times I've been pulled over by police, not because I was speeding or breaking any laws. Okay. If I were to tell you how many times I've literally been at gunpoint by police, didn't break any laws at all. How many times have you been at gunpoint? How many times the police pulled the gun on you?
Zero.
Exactly. So I've had gun pulled on me in my own driveway, going out to get something out of my car because I fit the description. I'm 6'1", 205 pounds. The description was of a dark, and I'm light skinned, brown skin. The description was a dark skinned black man who was 5'8", 180 pounds. I didn't fit his description at all, but I'm a black man. I would do. So I was at gunpoint, laying down in my driveway in my bathrobe because I went out to get something out of my car.
But hang on a second. But isn't the point of that, in a way, being that the police were looking for somebody?
Police were looking,
and they maybe mistakenly. It is kind of hard. It's hard to tell.
It's not hard to tell 6'1" from 5'8". Come on, man.
Standing up with your back up against the glass with a. Who knows? Maybe so. Was that the only time you were at gunpoint?
No, I've been at gunpoint 5 times by the police. And thinking about it, I've always thought about how many times it could have been fatal. How many times I could have been the hashtag. How many times, and then I can go through the gamut of times in which something happened to me that was strictly based on my race. I can go through time where stuff has happened to my children. I remember one time.
I understand what you're saying.
So there are conversations. There are conversations I've had to have with my sons that you will never have to have with your sons, because my sons are black in America. And so the short of what I'm trying to get to is the reality in America is your education, your station in life, your success, your money, it does not exempt you from the results of white supremacy, racism, and anti-black bigotry. And for every successful person, there's somebody who's got a story to tell. I mean, heck, Cory Booker being profiled by the Capitol Police because they didn't believe he was a senator. I mean, this is a guy who was in the U.S. Congress. And those kind of stories abound regardless of our success. So yes, as long as there's racism in America, I count myself among the oppressed people.
Well, I tell you, so it begs the question that we need to find a way to make black people more successful in this country. I'm not saying
No. I don't think that's it's not about success. See, that's the premise that's one of the reasons why I couldn't get down with Bernie Sanders. Because Bernie's position has always been it's about success. It's about economics. If we can get black people more economic success, we get more money in their pocket, more certain jobs, and so that will neutralize racism. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Racism is not based on your success. Do you think racists look at you and say, "Oh, you make X amount, so I'm not going to discriminate against you"? Do you think police say, "Oh, this black guy looks like he makes more money, he's successful, I won't profile him. I'll profile somebody on the lower socioeconomic scale"?
No, this is what I do think. I think that obviously with success means coming out of neighborhoods that are filled with crime, filled with drugs. They come into the suburbs, and that obviously
all black people don't live in those neighborhoods. All black.
I'm not saying they do. I know there's a lot of successful black people. I'm not saying they do, but you know as well as I do, there's a lot of whites in
here's the thing.
Stricken areas in West Virginia and Mississippi.
Well, and that's my thing. That's my thing. Do police do they profile trailer parks where poor white folks live like they do the hood where poor black folks live? The answer is no.
Well,
we know the answer is no. Come on.
No, but wait a minute. But I'm also saying that you know as well as I do. I'm sure there's a lot more, drugs and crime that happens.
No, there's not. No. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. See. Statistics get skewed based upon where police. So if the police are consistently profiling black folk in the hood and making more arrests in the hood, it doesn't mean more drug activity is going on there. It just means that the police presence and arrests are happening more often there. You got a whole slew of white folks in the suburbs snorting cocaine, doing meth, doing opioid, all kinds of stuff. But the difference is police don't profile them in their neighborhoods. It doesn't mean they're not doing drugs. It just simply means they're not being arrested for doing drugs.
I'm not saying that there's not white people that don't do drugs.
No. What I'm saying is.
The lawyers are doing it in their house, or they're doing it in their office.
But
they're
they're
not knocking over a liquor store to get the money. They got the money to do the drugs.
So black folk don't do drugs at home. They don't do drugs at home. Black folk don't do drugs at home. They knock over liquor stores and just do them on the streets. Come on.
Look, I know a lot of white people that do drugs in the streets, and because they do drugs in the streets,
and they knock over liquor stores, and they rob banks, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So drugs are bad. That's what happens when you get into drugs. Yeah.
So how do we make black people's lives better? That's just a question.
We've got to eradicate the system's systemic racism. That's what it is. That's what we attack.
How do you do that? I'm just wondering. How do you do that, though? How do you do that?
Well, I don't have the answers, but what I do know is, first of all, we can start with being fair and equitable in terms of law enforcement, in terms of case in point, under Joe Biden's watch, when they promulgated laws, when they knew that in the inner city, in the hood where black folks live, the drug of choice was crack. But in the suburbs where young white folks lived, the drug of choice was powdered cocaine. So they said, we'll promulgate a law that gives harsher sentences to those that are guilty of having crack cocaine. And you understand that's the difference of the way that it's manufactured or cooked, etc. So that's like saying, okay, since black folk do ice and white folk do water, we're going to make it more criminal if you're found with ice rather than with water. So you could literally that criminal reform didn't touch the majority of black people who were affected. You got to understand that the First Step Act, which is why it's called the first step, because they didn't take a second step. The First Step Act could only potentially affect a limited number of people who were in federal prison. The vast majority of people who were affected by the crime bill, because what the crime bill did, it had something in it called the Truth in Sentencing Act. And it basically incentivized states to expand prisons, give longer sentences, give 3-strike laws, all of that. And the government would give them billions of dollars to do that. So the majority of people, right? But hold it. But there are people in prison now because of the crime bill. They're still in prison right now. And the difference is, and wait, let me finish my point. The point I want to finish is so the majority of people who were affected by the crime bill went to state prison and couldn't even benefit from the First Step Act. So comprehensive prison reform has to go so far beyond the First Step Act only potentially affected about 2,000 people. There are 1.3 million black people in prison. And you're talking about only 2,000 people, not all of them were black, affected by the First Step Act. That wasn't comprehensive prison reform. And I know that's a good talking point for people who like Trump. Hey, they did prison reform. He didn't do prison reform.
All right, so you're saying, okay, so just
I'm saying signing a bipartisan bill that potentially could benefit 2,000 people in America, where there are 2 million people in prison, is not prison reform.
Okay, so the people that were in, so what you're saying is those people that were arrested for the crack laws back then, and are still in prison.
Not just crack, marijuana. So case in point, marijuana, right? There's a man named Michael Thompson. You can look him up. He was arrested in Michigan for having 3 pounds of weed. Okay?
Yep.
3 pounds of weed. That's a lot of weed. He got sentenced. Okay, he got sentenced to 40 to 60 years. Yeah. He's been in prison 25 years. His mother died while he's in prison. His father died while he's in prison. His brother died while he's in prison. But here's the key point. The prosecutor and the judge in his case, the guy who prosecuted him and the judge who sentenced him to 40 to 60 years are now retired. Guess what they're doing now?
They're trying to get him out of jail.
No, they are making money as investors in, guess what? The cannabis industry. The cannabis industry. So the prosecutor, so weed is now legal in Michigan, and the prosecutor and judge who sent this man to prison for 40 to 60 years are now making money off selling weed. Are you kidding me?
No, I agree with you.
And he's still in jail.
He served his time. That's plenty of time for that.
So we can start by righting wrongs like that. Let's right that type of wrong. Let's get people like Michael. Well, Illinois just did it. Let's follow suit with Illinois. Just made a decision that they were going to expunge the records of all of those from a certain time period who were convicted of marijuana convictions because of of the disparity in the crime bill and all of that kind of stuff. Every state needs to do that. We can start out by righting some of those wrongs. But anyway, let me go ahead.
Well, that's yeah, I agree. You know, it's time. I mean, things change over time. Marijuana is now legal. Sports betting is going to be legal in every state. You can get all the Italians that were caught up in you know, the mob and you know, doing the sports betting and all that. I mean, you know, things change over time. Things change over time. Absolutely. That man should be out of jail. I agree 100%.
All right, I gotta transition out the radio show. Thank you for calling. Appreciate you.
All right, take care.
All right, I think I actually went a little bit past my time, but I'm gonna do my outro anyway. Got caught up with that call, and so let me sign off of WTCC, and I'll be right back with you. Those that are still hanging with me in my streaming audience. All right. Those on WTCC, until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. All right. Extended edition of the spoken word. Good morning to you, and you. Talking about this this disenfranchisement of black voters. This heinous, horrible attempt of so many members of Congress, which is why it's so disheartening. These are people sworn to uphold the Constitution, protect the rights of the citizens of America, that are actively trying to disenfranchise black people, black voters, simply because they're black and they don't like the way they voted and they didn't vote for Donald Trump. You know, ever since they neutered the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republicans have been making consistent efforts to change state and local election laws, supposedly to combat fraud that doesn't exist. So they restricted voting in ways that place a disproportionate burden on Black, Latino, non-white voters. And civil rights leaders have cited the laws as their not so subtle efforts at voter suppression. And in several of those cases, judges have agreed. Now, the difference is when the Voting Rights Act was enforceable, they couldn't do that because the Department of Justice could come in and stop them. Now that the Voting Rights Act is unenforceable because of the action of the Supreme Court in 2013, there is no enforcement of the Voting Rights Act, even though it's still on the books. And this is nothing new because this guy, 46 minus 1, has consistently, frequently maligned Black leaders, Black cities. He applauded Black people who chose not to vote in 2016 because he said it benefited him. And then he started bragging that he's done more for Black Americans than any president since Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Yet he supports the Confederate flag and Confederate monuments and all of that. I guess he doesn't realize Lincoln fought against the Confederacy. I mean, he has literally returned America back to some very blatant Jim Crow tactics. And that's what we're seeing. What you're seeing, what you're going to see tomorrow or Wednesday with these Republican senators are Jim Crow tactics. Let me play this. Clip. Listen to this clip. Listen to Trump in this clip basically try to demand that the Secretary of State of Georgia find 11,780 votes to give to him to try to overturn the Georgia election, which has already been certified. Then he admits that this whole thing about shredding ballots, about Dominion taking its voting machines out or changing the inside parts of the voting machine to cover up its crimes, he admits that it's hearsay. He says that's what the rumor is. And then, of course, the Secretary of State and his lawyer push back and tell him, no, that's not happening. That did not happen. It's not happening. Did not happen. But he consistently keeps pushing this false conspiracy thing, even though his own fellow Republicans are telling him, dude, you're on Fantasy Island. This ain't happening. Let's listen.
In Georgia, based on all of this, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct. The people of Georgia are angry, and these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. You know, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
No, Ryan, no, Dominion is not moved any machinery out of Fulton County.
But have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, I know you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're up by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did, and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways. And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Brian, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot. You know,
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow, because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, you know, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. And a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president, okay? They hate it. And they're going to vote. And if you would be respected, really respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
Well, there you have it. The Presidente of what Maya Angelou calls these yet to be United States of America, basically trying to punk the Secretary of State of Georgia into finding him enough votes to give him the state. And they're telling them, dude, we got an accurate count. No, nobody shredded any ballots. No, nobody moved any machines, changed anything on the inward parts of the machines. All this crap you're talking just didn't happen. And he is consistently berating them and telling them they got to do something. You're a Republican. You gotta give me the election. Wow. This is criminal activity, y'all. He's trying to tamper with the U.S. election. He's trying to basically coerce force election officials to change the results to give it to him. You know these people would be having a fit if Barack Obama had did anything close to that. And yet, no Republican in Congress is saying, hold up, dude, this has gone too far. Think about it. It's insane. 413-337-1867. Be with you up until 10:30. If anyone wants to chime in on the conversation, this stuff is just nuts. Those of you who are on YouTube, do me a favor. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit the like, and I need you to subscribe. All right, hit that like, and please subscribe. Those that are on YouTube, yeah, this is nuts. And for those on Periscope, I understand Periscope is going out as of March 31st, but I believe that we will still be able to log on through Twitter. So we'll figure it out before March 31st gets here, how we do that. So you'll still be able to go on. So if you just have a Periscope account, you need to go get your Twitter account as well. Get ready for that change. But you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard you heard the president basically bribe, coerce, whatever you want to call it, election officials in Georgia to try to give him the election. I'm Republican, you're Republican, wink, wink, wink. I'm white, you're white, wink, wink, wink. Come on, we're both white supremacists. You know, you got to do it. And then he tells him this. He tells him, just tell him you recalculated. So just find me 11,780 votes, even though he lost by 13,000. I guess he's not that good at math. Find me the number of votes that it would take to give me at least one more vote than Joe Biden, and just tell everybody you recalculated. This is what he told this dude. This is what he told him to do. It's crazy. Criminal activity by the sitting president. A sitting president. Oh boy. I mean, they just and let me tell you, like I said, I really believe that this is driven by the fact that he cannot handle the fact that swing states voted against him in large part as a result. Thank you there, listener. Oppression has nothing to do with success. Thank you. I'm sorry for that interruption. That just, you see one of them comments that make you say hallelujah. The swing states won in large part because of the votes of Black people in those 4 cities, right? Milwaukee, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Detroit. He is extremely livid because Black folk are the reason he's not going back to the White House. And he's also extremely livid at the fact that the Black president that he is often maligned, castigated, lied on, served 2 terms and didn't get beat in his reelection campaign. He will never live down the fact that Barack Obama, the Black guy, won 2 terms, but I'm a 1-term guy. That in part, other than the fact he wants to remain in power, of course, but that in part is fueling this rabid attempt to disenfranchise Black voters. 60 court cases. 60 cases thrown out of court. 60, y'all. 60 court cases since November 3rd. 60 court cases. The Supreme Court has rejected 2 cases. Okay? And now he's trying to go through Congress. Oh, boy. So don't be surprised, because it's not going to work on January 6th. See, here's the danger. Between Wednesday and the time of the inauguration, there are 14 days. Don't be surprised if Trump tries to do this crazy martial law remedy that his deranged lawyers have encouraged him to do. Declare martial law and then redo the election. Y'all are cracking me up with y'all comments. Cousin Lisa, I hear you. He was white-splaining. I was more patient with him this time, wasn't I? Wasn't I patient, y'all? Y'all got to give me a pat on the back and tell I was patient. Whitney's telling me I should have told him to shut up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Y'all are killing me. But don't be surprised if in the 14 days leading up to the inaugural that Trump tries this last Hail Mary attempt. Thank you so much. This last Hail Mary attempt to declare martial law and then try to redo the election. You're right. on one of my Instagram followers is saying that we never would have heard the tape had Trump not played himself. Yeah. And the fact that we got him on tape trying to basically force I hope whoever becomes the attorney general under Biden goes back and prosecutes him for trying to tamper with the election like that. I hope they prosecute him. Correct, Sheldon Barnes. Tim Scott, a Republican black guy, also testified his experience with the Capitol Police. It has nothing to do with success. That, my friends, and I know y'all were really trying to get me to hang up on that guy. That, my friends, is the reason why I was never able to get on the Bernie Sanders bandwagon. I know a lot of black people were down with him. I know Killer Mike and I know Nina Turner personally, and a lot of good folks were down with Bernie's campaign, good black folks. And I was never able to get down with it because of the fact that I just couldn't get past the fact that he chalked up the mistreatment of black people as an economic problem and not a systemic racism problem. His remedy was get these black people good jobs and get them in good neighborhoods and good homes and all that stuff, and they won't deal with racism, which is ridiculous. I couldn't get on the Bernie bandwagon for that. If Bernie could not see that systemic racism affects black people regardless of socioeconomic status, I couldn't get on that bandwagon. And then he was anti-reparations as well. So I wasn't down with that. Couldn't get down with that. So for those of y'all who always ask me why I couldn't get down with Bernie, and I know there's some of you here in the 413 who were diehard Bernie folks. But Bernie was of that notion that if you're successful in black, you won't have to deal with racism. As if, before a cop cracks you upside the head, he checks and sees whether or not you're successful. This is the mind of whiteness. Period. Absolutely. They don't really understand that racism is systemic. They attribute racism to individual acts, which is why they cannot understand why black people say I'm oppressed, because it's about systems. It's not about what individuals do to us. Yeah, there are individuals who are racist, but it's more about what the system does. And so they feel like as long as I don't call you a nigger, as long as I don't discriminate against you, as long as I don't do this or I don't do that, me and my people aren't racist. Yeah, but you're not doing anything to dismantle a racist system in which you benefit from because of your whiteness, and which I'm disenfranchised by because of my blackness. And as long as you don't do anything to dismantle the system that privileges your whiteness and disenfranchises my blackness, you're part of the problem and you're racist. Because there's no such thing as not racist. It's either you're racist or you're anti-racist. If you're not anti-racist, you're racist. I mean, that's your two choices. That's your two choices. Yeah, Angela, you lost on WTCC. We went over at 10 o'clock. We went off of TCC. So we continue on usually about a half hour or so with the streaming audience, because, you know, you guys been good to me in terms of following and supporting all through this pandemic. So I give y'all a little bit more than the audience on WTCC. So listen, Wednesday night is our midweek virtual service. So tune in for that. Of course, on Sundays at 11 o'clock, we stream live. So check us out on Sundays. Coming up, keep your eye out. We're going to be announcing our New Year's revival, which will be coming up. It'll be a virtual revival, and you'll see that happening as well. So keep your ears and your eyes open. And then remember, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. As tempting as it is to get out and get among people and all of that, this thing is still spreading, y'all. It's still spreading. And you know, we've got responsible. If I had time, if I had loaded it, which I didn't, I would play this video of black folks at the Republic Club in Atlanta, wilding out on New Year's Eve, not a mask in sight, packed in the club, destroying the club, all of that kind of stuff. And then the white folks over at Mar-a-Lago, same thing, no mask, partying and the whole nine. And so we always talk about them being COVIDiots, but we can't do a whole lot of talking about them being COVIDiots if we're being idiots ourselves. Okay, so come on, y'all. Let's do better. All right, we want to live through this. We want to get through this alive. Okay, so let's be responsible. All right, I got to get out your way. Let me play something going out. Let me play a little something. Of course, you know I'm going to play my son again. So once again, I want y'all to check his music out. Anywhere you stream music, I need y'all to support the young brother. And remember, let's keep our eyes. If you know anybody who lives in Georgia, call them today. All right? Call them today. Good morning, Superintendent. Call them today, okay? And tell them to get out and vote. Tell them to get out and vote. All right? We can't have them staying home, tripping and all that. They need to get out and vote in Georgia. So if you got family members, you got friends, you got people out there in Georgia, tell them this is the time, get out and vote. This is going to determine who has control of the Senate. Okay, John Ossoff and my brother, Reverend Raphael Warnock, are running, and y'all need to go out and support them and vote for them. Those of y'all that are in Georgia, please. All right, let me move on out your way. Let me get T Swan on here. All right, I'm out. Love you guys. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. I'm out. Peace, love, happy new year, all that good stuff. Make it a good one, y'all. All right? 2021. Make it better than 2020. Peace out. See y'all later.
Yeah. This one is for all the brothers that passed, but more particularly one because it affected me drastically. I remember my sister gave me the call and I was in awe. Matter of fact, it felt the farthest from reality. She seen somebody post RIP with his name and I said I doubt it's the same friend I had since the 7th grade. She said I'ma call her sister and double check and call me back. Said he hanged himself in his room and had been there for days. Initially it didn't hit me, then it clicked and I remembered that I hadn't seen or heard from the homie all week. Wish she had told me what had him feeling lonely and weak. I guess everybody got demons we don't even speak of. Cause I was with him exactly a week before the call. Just under 20, he couldn't even purchase alcohol. My best friend for like 6 or 7 years. I'm not ashamed to say I shedded plenty tears, but it was hard. He was somebody I had plenty memories with. The first person I ever burned any trees with. The worst feeling is knowing that you would leave us in all this grievance without a reason. One of the first people to ever believe in me. When it came down to it, you knew you could call me if you needed me. Is that information I wouldn't have ever imagined. It's sad thinking about it. I ain't happy that it happened, but it made me. There was plenty times when I thought that it would drive me crazy. But looking back on it now, I see all the drive that it gave me. I learned more about why I am who I am on the daily. I know it may sound crazy, but I'm glad that it made me. Yeah, was born the son of a pastor. He was who I was named after. Matter of fact, I even got some of his characteristics. Both of us got messages for the people. I just do mine with rhythm on beat. He do his on the pulpit with scriptures. Well connected, respected in the community. Ever since I was little, I felt like there was some pressure on me. It started off with little stuff like when my folk brought us to church and then they forced us to get up and say a testimony. Getting older, had to watch how I acted in public, cause people wouldn't hesitate to put that in discussion. Chatting like, isn't that the pastor's kid? I'm like, yeah, that's me. But please don't expect me to be exactly like my daddy. Don't discredit my family for how I am. I'm not a little kid no more, I'm now a man. And I ain't pointing fingers, I'm not trying to do no blaming at all. When it comes to how I came up, I wouldn't change it at all, because it made me. There was plenty times when I thought that it would drive me crazy. But looking back on it now, I see all the drive that it gave me. I learned more about why I am who I am on the daily. I know it may sound crazy, but I'm glad that it made me. Yeah, glad that it made me. Yeah, glad that it made me. Looking back on it now, I see all the drive that it gave me. So glad that it made me. Yeah, it made me. Yeah, it made me.